So it's 7:02, so I guess we can, get started. I just want to say welcome. This is Advocates After Dark. This is our, monthly fun session where our rescue team comes together to chat about rescue, catch up, and just connect. We're super excited to get this started. I just have two housekeeping items first. If you are a donor, you're invited to join live every month and, check your email or our secret donor Instagram page for the link and password. And, if you can't attend, the recording will be posted and you'll get access to that too. For any donors that are here, you put questions, comments, messages in the chat, and we will answer and respond. If you're watching this and you are not a donor, you're only going to see a small beginning chunk of this video. To join our donor program, which is only $5 at minimum a month, just check out our website at falcats.com. So with that, we can get started. Oh, let me hit the next button. So since this is our first ever meeting, I just wanted to take a second to tell you about what Falc is about, just in case you didn't know. Falc is Feline Advocates of Leon County. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we help hundreds of cats every year. We have two adoption centers called Fat Cat Cafe on Park Avenue and Fat Cat Books in Railroad Square that support our rescue operations. So what is our rescue about? So it can kind of be divided into three key pillars. We call it dedicate, educate, advocate. So the dedicate part is we dedicate, safe spaces like foster homes and adoption centers to help cats in need. And then we also dedicate care and resources like medical care, food, litter, etc. The second part is educate. So through our public facing adoption centers, we are constantly educating the public on pet ownership, including, adoption and lifelong care of cats and what that involves. We educate on spay and neuter, why it's important, and also how to access it and why it's important to access it. And then as well, just general animal welfare topics. And then advocate. We empower individuals in our community to speak up, support, and protect the rights of our companion animals and community cats as well. So let's talk and go through kind of our Falc team. So we have a really large team. Not everybody could be present tonight, and not everyone will be present at, every single meeting. We will have people, popping in and out, but this is kind of our core team of people. This is our board of directors and our strategic advisors. Everyone has a picture here on the screen. So I believe we have, two other two other directors and, one of our advisors here on the call. So I'd like, if everyone's okay, to just go around for a second and, each of us introduce ourselves. I have put some questions in the bottom right-hand corner just to kind of prompt responses. Don't feel like you have to answer all of them. Just, who you are, how long you've been here, what got you involved, what you do, and maybe what's your favorite part. And I can go first. So my name's Sarah. I am the vice president at Falc. I'm also the medical coordinator. So I do a lot of stuff like routine vetting to cats that come in the program, coordinating spay and neuter surgery, helping with critical cases, monitoring the health of the cats in the adoption facilities, stuff like that. I also run the donor program with the help of some of my other fellow directors here. I have been with Falc. Well, so I started out as a volunteer with Fat Cat Cafe in 2018. And that started because I had moved up here for graduate school to Tallahassee, and I really wanted to adopt a cat. And I would just Googled where could I adopt a cat here? And Fat Cat Cafe popped up. And I went in, and Michelle, who is our founder and president, she'll probably be on the call later. She was working actually, she was covering a shift. And she helped me find my cat Luna, who I am pictured with here. She was my baby, and I loved her dearly. She passed away just last year. But, Luna was kind of my gateway into the cat cafe. And so I really loved the cat cafe and the work it was doing. And so I volunteered there. And then Falc was founded in 2019. And so then I kind of transitioned from a volunteer to a director. So, and I think my favorite part of Falc, I'm the medical coordinator. So my favorite part and what I do a lot is, helping cats that really just need a chance. We take in cats that are so sick, that need help, and they're just, sometimes the cats we take in are just like barely clinging to life. They need help. And so we're able to, do that. And it's amazing to see a cat that came in so sick, or so unwell, or was hospitalized, or, has some rare disease that needs to be treated, to see them thrive once they get the right care. And so whenever one of those cats, overcomes something, gets adopted, something like that, that kind of, reminds me why what we do is so important. So that's about me. I am going to pass it off to one of our other directors, Lindsay, if you don't mind telling us a little bit about yourself.
All right, hi, I'm Lindsay. I have been with Falk since the beginning. I actually used to work at Fat Cat Cafe many moons ago. 2018, I worked there for a few years, loved it, and eventually helped find Falk, and we became a rescue. Here's one of my kitties right now. This is Moonstone. Hi. All right, be free. She's wild right now. She just turned 1. Would say my favorite part about this is watching the cats that we've had a long time finally find homes. We get a lot of scared cats, and it's not so easy to get them adopted. It takes months sometime for them to come out of their shell. So I just love seeing their gradual process. Um, and I would say my what I do with the organization, I'm on the adoption committee. So I help go through a lot of adoption applications, and I also help with social media for Cafe. And yeah, that's about it. And this is my 5-year-old Leo. He also loves cats. All right, so I'm gonna throw it to one of you guys.
Hi everyone, I can go next and I apologize. I would normally have my camera on, but I'm getting over something. But anyway, my journey with Falk started about 4.5, almost 5 years ago when I was a sophomore at college at FSU and I was looking to adopt my first cat on my own. I didn't just want any cat. I knew that I wanted a super senior, super old cat. So I messaged a few organizations and asked them to tell me who their oldest cat that they had available for adoption was. And very few got back to me, one of which happened to be Falk. And they pointed me in the direction of a cat at the bookstore named Cutie, who you can see that handsome orange boy in that picture with me there. I met Cutie. I instantly fell in love. He was 13 at the time with chronic kidney disease. And even though I knew that that meant a shorter lifespan potentially, that didn't stop me. I adopted him, took him home, uh, and absolutely fell in love with the rescue and what Falk does, especially for the older and senior cats, because they have a very, very special place in my heart. So I asked how I could get involved, and one thing led to another. I started as coordinator, became a director, and now I am secretary and adoption coordinator. So I coordinate with all of the individuals who submit adoption applications for every single one of our cats, set up the appointments, communicate any pertinent medical information to them with the help of our medical team, and send them off to their very, very happy homes. And my favorite part about working with Falk and favorite part about my role would definitely be helping older or senior cats find their forever homes. Like I said, that's just something very near and dear to my heart. And I think it's so special when we help a cat who's 10 or older or 7 or older, whatever it may be, find a home that they can live out the rest of their happy days in. And that's me.
And I think we have Gail on too. I apologize, through sharing my screen, I can't really see all the participants the same way I normally would. But Gail, if you want
Yeah.
to, yeah, if you want to tell us a little about yourself too.
Hey, Sarah. Yeah. Well, I kind of just tumbled into to Falc towards the very end of 2017. I had recently retired from a full-time employment, and I saw a sign for the Fat Cat Cafe. And I walked in, and Sarah, not unlike you, Michelle was there covering a shift. And I said, what a great concept. I mean, here, the animals have a chance to be out and be meeting people and being socialized. And I thought, what a wonderful environment for people to come in and help socialize the kitty, but also find one that's a good fit for their family. And that was at a time when there was not even 50 cats that had been adopted. And now we're way over 1,800, which is just remarkable. So, I was looking for purposeful a way to give back to the community. So I said, well, gosh, maybe I could volunteer here. And I did for a while. And then I worked there for a short period of time. And it was just something that I felt was fulfilling something that was very different from what I had done for my career, but it's something that I'd always wanted to do was to be more involved with animals. So one of my favorite things is, I guess, the love and passion of the board members and the volunteers that come in. It's really encouraging to see just how much care there is, and it is a lot of hard work, but their passion just kind of overwrites that hard work. And the things that I do, I'm kind of like an odds and ends person now. I had, like I said, I volunteered for a period of time and worked there for a period of time, and had about a year on the board of directors before some life changes. But I think that, just being able to help transport and do some of the admin stuff that needs to be done, and even just a load of laundry that I did last night. Everything is needed to be able to help the rescue running. And it's just such a great part to be, it's wonderful to be a part of it.
One of my personal cats. Thank you for sharing that. I think it's so cool. We're such a diverse group here, and there's a lot of us that weren't able to join tonight. So I'm just going to tell you just really briefly about a couple of the people. So Michelle, who's pictured first on the left, she is one of the founders of Falck, and she's also our current president. It would be tough to pin her down to one role. She kind of does a little bit of everything. And she really helps steer us and keep things, moving, administrative tasks. And even beyond that, she's not just an administrator. She goes in the trenches. She rescues cats. She's really great with feral cats and is a big advocate for TNR and has done a lot of TNR work. And then also on our team, we have Melissa. Melissa has served in many different roles. Melissa was the vice president of Falck at one point. She also plays a big role over at our bookstore location. And now she kind of she does like inventory and procurement sort of stuff for the rescue. She also runs the Fat Cat Book social media page. So anytime you're over there looking at stuff, it's a post that she wrote. Also pictured here is Susie. Susie is one of the other founders of Falck. Susie is wonderful. Her role is very administrative. She sends out a lot of our thank you emails. She volunteers at our events. On the bottom left is Kaylee. Kaylee was I think she was the original manager of Fat Cat Cafe. And if she wasn't, then she became, the manager pretty early on. She really she was involved in the original opening of the Cat Cafe at the time. And she has played a huge role in making the cafe what it is today. Gloria in the middle, she is our main bookstore lead right now. So everything related to the bookstore, which again is where we house our senior kitties and some of our adult kitties. Everything from managing inventory there to helping our employees, making sure the books are, we're getting book donations and they're out and the shelves are stocked, all that kind of stuff. That's Gloria. Kat, well, I put Catherine on here, but she really goes by Kat. She wanted to be here tonight, but she's in class. She is a student. And she is also one of our board of directors on top of going to school full time. And she's also, involved in the Cat Cafe, and then she also assists with medical as well. And then the last photo we have is Jasmine. She is the newest person to our team, and she is kind of serving as a facilities person. Running two small businesses is a lot, and it honestly takes more than just one person. Even though we have, a few people, one person dedicated to each facility, it honestly it takes a village to run one of these adoption facilities. So she is serving in that role. So that's kind of who we are and all the different people. As we have more of these sessions, more people will show up and you'll get to learn more about us. But that's kind of the general like gist of it. So I'm gonna move on. So now we just kind of wanted to talk about like how are things going, which is an interesting topic. So uh, on the left is, you may have already seen this. This is our little April intake snapshot. We took in 28 cats in the month of April, including this really funny orange mama cat with her kittens. That's the picture there. She came from the Tallahassee Animal Services Center on Easterwood. We pull from there all the time. She is currently being fostered with someone who's on this call. And he is a wonderful foster and it also assists a lot in our foster committee. And, her and her babies are doing really good. So, May so far, we have taken in 24 cats, and that's in like the first half of the month because, today is May 14th. So we're basically halfway through, and we have taken in the first half of the month about as many cats as we took in the entire month of April. So we are busy. Most of these are stray cats. This time of year is really hard. People are finding cats outside a lot, and they are trying to get them help. Oftentimes, they're kittens that have upper respiratory infection, flea infestation, all kinds of problems. And we've only transferred in one kitty. So very different than April, and also very different from March. And that's kind of a pattern we see a lot. We do a lot of transfer in being like we take in a cat from either a shelter or another rescue organization. So usually we do a lot of that in the early part of the year, and that's because there's just not as many cats in need of help. And then, usually like April through the summer when kitten season is at its peak, we are constantly getting asked by the community to help, and we do try to help when we can. Of course, we are one rescue. We can't help everybody who reaches out. But we try to, or at least point them in the right direction of someone who can, whether that's another rescue organization or our local shelter. But yeah, we've taken in a lot of cats. April luckily also brought a lot of adoptions. We adopted out almost as many as we took in, which is great because our ability to help is directly impacted by how many vacancies we have. So if the adoption facilities are completely full on cats, our ability to help decreases because we only have, so many foster homes that can accommodate cats. And if they're sitting and waiting, then we can't fill them up again. So that's kind of that's the reality of rescue. I don't know if any of our other people on the call want to speak to how things have been going this month or have anything they want to share.
Adoptions have been kicking butt.
Yes.
Always nice when we can move some out to move more in.
Yeah, it's funny. We always we have this running joke among us, especially among our, intake committee. So intake being the people that are responsible for figuring out which cats are coming into the rescue. Like our running joke is, one out and two in. So it's always like we adopt a cat out and then we're immediately like, all right, we know who's coming in next. Or we have a waiting list sometimes even, especially during the summer as things, transition. So that's kind of the fun of cat rescue. We always have to get creative and figure things out. But I mean, I feel like things are going well. We just are kind of dealing the best we can with the kitten season, which kind of brings me to this, which is, my cats are running around if you hear crazy noises. So how are we managing kitten season? So these are two memes I see all the time on my rescue on my personal feed. My personal feed is often, full of animal rescue memes just because I'm so involved in animal rescue. But the left one has always been a favorite of mine. Kitten season is the giant wave, and shelters and rescues are the lady just, standing there on the beach, getting ready to, to be hit by the wave. And then the one on the right is something else kind of funny I saw a few days ago. Like someone who doesn't know anything about cat rescue or isn't involved will ask, so how many cats do you have now? And you can tell people, it's rude to ask a cat rescuer how many cats they have during kitten season. Um, you know, Fostering kittens, you're often fostering groups. A couple of reasons for that. One, it's rare that kittens don't come in groups. And two, it's better for their socialization to, be fostered in groups. We don't like single kittens, and no rescue does. It's rare to see single kittens unless there's like an actual medical reason why. So, and sometimes a kitten needs to be isolated, or sometimes it's a sole survivor of a litter or something like that. But even if it is, we do try to take steps to merge it with other kittens so they're not by themselves. So where we are now is we currently have almost 30 kittens in our care that are less than 8 weeks old. So yeah, we have seen in the past month, I would say, a huge uptick in like emails, DMs, requests from shelters, requests from rescue partners to help with kittens in need. This is just the reality of shelter or rescue work, during the spring and summer. So I think today I had I was counting earlier today how many asks we got for help. It was like 1 in the afternoon and we were already up to 7 asks. And I think there's been more that have come in since then. I've seen at least like 2 in our email. So we probably got like 10 asks today to help with cats. And unfortunately, we are a, volunteer run organization, and we can't say yes to everybody. So we always reply to everybody, which is something, that we really try to do. Um, there are some groups that just they don't have the resources or don't have the time to reply to everybody that emails and reaches out, but we at least have like a template message we can send of like, we're full, we can't help you, but here's what you can do. Here's what you can do to find help. Here's what you can do to stabilize your animal until you can find help, things like that. So but it's constant, and this happens every single year. It's just funny because last month it was like, we're out of cats. The cafe got down to like, it might have been 8 cats. It was something absurd, like and if you go to the cafe, usually we have 15 or so, usually sometimes more. Kitten season, we sometimes squeeze in a few more than that. But we were down. We were so down. And I even like was reaching out to the local shelters, like the Tallahassee shelter, Wakulla, and being like, do you have cats? We need cats. And they told us, nope, ask us in a month. And it's like, well, now here we are, and I can't ask you. We actually, that's a big reason why we pulled some cats from Bainbridge, which I know we posted on the donor page. Like we literally had to drive all the way to Georgia, about an hour away to get cats. And we love to help them. We've worked with them countless times over the past several years. They do always need help, but we're usually not in a position to help them, only because we do try to focus locally first. So we try to, meet the Tallahassee needs. And then if Tallahassee doesn't need us, then we start to, branch out a little bit, and we'll help in Moultrie, Bainbridge, places like that, particularly, rural areas, because generally rural shelters really struggle and have a hard time. But right now we're to the point where we can't do that right now. So we have to focus locally, and do our best. So I put on here like a favorite kitten season survival tip. Um, I think my survival tip for myself, as one of my roles is I monitor the Falc email, so I'm seeing most of the intake requests for help, are like knowing that at least replying is doing something. Like it's, even if we can't help, it's better than leaving it, unread. At least we're pointing them to resources. At least we're telling them what the situation is, and maybe they learned something, from that email, whether it's they learned, that this is a bottle baby that needs to be fed every 2 hours, or they learned that they can call the local shelter and request to be part of the Wait Till Late program and get supplies if they can hold on to the cat. Or, they learned that we can help them spay or neuter that cat when it's bigger. So that's my tip. I don't know if anyone else has any kitten season thoughts, tips, stories they want to share.
Keep it light and laugh. Embrace the chaos.
You have to. I mean,
I was just
And
gonna say, yeah,
sometimes,
embrace the chaos. Go ahead, Giselle.
oh, sorry, Lindsay. I was just gonna say sometimes we name one or two, which is cool too.
yes. Yeah, you have to embrace the chaos. One thing that I have learned in rescue is that flexibility is so important. And it does not come naturally to me. I'm very type A, and anyone who's anyone on the call who's worked with me in rescue capacity knows like I literally like keep spreadsheets and color coding, and I'm like, these kittens are going to be ready at this time, and these are going to be ready at this time, and the cafe is going to be ready for 12 kittens on June 2nd or something. And then life happens, and the 4 kittens that were supposed to get fixed this past week, oopsie daisy, 2 of them are having little medical problems, so they can't get fixed right now, and they're delayed. Or the person that I thought we were helping, another rescue is able to help, so we don't need them anymore. So it's all about just being flexible and just kind of believing that we will figure it out, because we always figure it out.
Yeah, Michelle always says it always works out, which when I first started seeing her say that, I'm like, what are you talking about, Chica? But it really is true.
Yeah. Yeah, we always find a way. It's always good when, there's always opportunities. And some of it is just so unpredictable. Like, adoptions may kick up for a little bit, and that's our way that opens up space. Or last year, one thing we did was we partnered with Valdosta Humane Society, which is a wonderful organization. And we were part of their it's called Life Flight or Life Rides. And so they coordinate these massive transports, and they move cats from southern states to northern states where, believe it or not, there's like waiting lists to adopt kittens up there, which is wild to me. But it's true. And so they facilitate those transports all the time. And so they reached out and was like, do you need help? And so we were able to wrangle up a bunch of cats from the email that people were trying to, rehome, and get them on, drive them to Valdosta and then get them on the plane. And they were adopted up there instantly. So there's always, ways to move cats in and out, but a lot of managing it is, just paying attention to our sanity and trying to maintain our sanity. So, which brings me to this, which is actually what I was just talking about, because I always we always knew that in the southern United States, cat and dog rescue is just it's a different beast than in other areas. We've always like anecdotally known that, um someone that I'm really good friends with, she is pretty involved in animal rescue in Philadelphia, and she's one of the directors of their municipal shelter there. And I would ask her, I'm like, are you drowning? Are you like, how do you manage this? What do you do? And then from sitting down and talking to her, I was like, oh, okay, you just don't have as many cats as as we do, which, and so we've always known stuff like that. And you just hear all these stories of like rescues in, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi. Texas also has a lot of trouble. And you hear them talk about how like there's just not enough resources to help. It's like we try to, cast this giant net to catch all of the kittens, and no matter what we do, it's just you can't help everybody. And so 2 years ago, Shelter Animals Count finally did like an actual survey. And so they polled shelters at random, and they got, a sample size from each state, and then they grouped those states into regions. And what they did is they looked at, intake of kittens under 8 weeks old. And what they found is that the South Atlantic region, which is where we are, has a huge amount of kittens that come in. And that peak is usually around May. It kind of starts, you kind of start to see it in March and April. You still see kittens in June and July, but that peak really is in May. And in the South where we are, it's just crazy. And then that's kind of followed by areas such as, out west, like the Pacific. And the other one is west, South Central. But then like these northern regions, they're, taking in, they have maybe like 10,000 while we have close to 40,000. So it's like a huge difference. And I think, seeing the actual data was like helpful because it showed us something we've known the whole time. But I just thought that was really interesting because it's like, is kitten season this intense everywhere else? And the answer is no. The answer is, if you are not in, the Pacific out California, and if you're not in our region, it's not quite so bad. It's still, rescues out there, they still have troubles, shelters are underfunded, but it's not anything like what we see here. And so I just thought this was really interesting. And I wanted to include it because it just goes along really well with, everything we've been talking about. So,
No, it is so true. And I should have mentioned in my intro that I'm one of two directors who does not currently live in Tallahassee. I actually live down in South Florida. So it gets a lot warmer, a lot faster here. And I'm, of course, not involved with any rescues here, but I follow them just to stay in the loop. And I saw kitten season picking up here a couple weeks, maybe if not a month sooner than it started to in Tallahassee. And I think I sent a message or two like it's picking up here, so we got to be ready up there. And sure enough, as soon as it warmed up and those cold snaps died down in Tallahassee, it started to hit. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm the other director who lives not in state. I live in Texas, and so have learned quite a lot about the difference in rescues being over here. But mainly, yeah, Giselle, we noticed it a little earlier here because of the heat. One of the things I miss most with Falk is fostering for Falk, but I still try to foster kittens when I can around Texas. But yeah, it's happening, but it's going to be crazy when you have a kitten in your house. But I highly recommend everyone to foster. It's really important. This is the time rescues need it the most, and they bring so much love and happiness into your life. So everyone should foster.
yeah, I know Texas is kind of a rough place for animals. I follow a few like rescue accounts there, especially in like rural Texas. It seems like there's a lot of like more like free, not that we don't have free roaming animals here because we have plenty of community cats, but it seems like there's a lot more like free roaming dogs. Is that true?
Yeah, it was a culture shock when I moved here. In Tallahassee, yeah, we have community cats, we have stray cats. I think that's pretty normal for most of, the United States. But yes, no matter where you go, at least once a week I'll see one or two dogs just roaming the streets. And from what I've heard, South Texas below me, I'm in San Antonio, there's like streets where there's packs of dogs, and unfortunately the shelters just they are at capacity fully. And so yeah, it's a shame, but I'm glad Florida's not that bad when it comes to that.
Yeah, yeah, it seems, yeah, from what I had to like, I followed a few rescues in Texas, and it was one of those things where like, it was so sad I had to unfollow. So,
One thing I noticed when I moved here is people walk around with large sticks. And I thought, okay, that's interesting, walking sticks. But no, it's just in case they run into a stray dog that might be aggressive.
oh my
Luckily, I
God,
have not done that.
I can't
Yeah.
imagine.
Oh, actually, just the other day, random side note, I look at my Ring camera and I see two dogs at my front door. And I'm like, any other day I would be like, sure, I love it. Let me go run out. But I have five cats in my house. So, and one of them is a 1-year-old cat who is still kind of looking at the door, trying to DoorDash. So, yeah, no, it turns out it is a neighbor's dog that they let them out whenever they want, and they go into other neighbors' houses. Some people say, yeah, we just let them in. And I'm like, I have five cats. I can't do that. Anyways, it's just wow. The dog stuff in Texas is crazy.
Yeah, that sounds intense.
Yeah. But we do have a lot of we have two no-kill shelters right now, so it's hopefully with the right funding it will change and can be a little more put together like I think Falk is.
Okay. So we spent a lot of time talking about kittens. And so one thing I wanted to do during all of these like little meetings was kind of talk about a case of the month, like a, a medical case and kind of walk you through it. But since we spent so much time on kittens, I really wanted to pick an adult cat. And so this is a story of a senior cat. And so it started out with an email, like so many of these do. We've talked about the email blowing up. I've just blurred out a few things that should not, reveal somebody's personal information. But, we got this email and it was someone looking for advice on a cat that she had found in her neighborhood. And so one of her neighbors feeds cats outside, and she also interacts with the cats, and she noticed that one cat was just really not doing good despite having access to food. And so, oops, one of my cats hit the screen. Okay, you got to behave if you're going to be here. Um, anyway, so basically, this person, she really wanted to help this cat, but she was worried about taking in a stray cat, not wanting to do any harm. They have one other kitty at home, so they were kind of nervous about, bringing inside, health concerns being transmitted, all that stuff. And so she sent some pictures as well, I've included the two of them in the before pictures. So you can see it's a Siamese cat. And the second picture, which is on the bottom left, you can just see like all of the flea dirt on her skin. So when cats are infested with fleas, the fleas leave behind something called flea dirt. And so that's what all the little black specks are on her skin. And so like I saw this email, I was like, we have to help. We have to. And so the initial step of helping was I emailed this chick back and I asked her if she could bring the cat and meet with me at the cat cafe where I do a lot of like foster needs or vaccines, whatever. And so she brought the cat to me and it was the sweetest cat. And I could tell like this is definitely an older kitty. And I could see various potential medical concerns. I couldn't really look in the kitty's mouth. She didn't want to let me do that, which is usually a sign that there's something wrong. The flea dirt was obvious, and she was just super underweight. And so what we did is I kind of got her some of the stuff she needed to get this kitty started, like dewormer, steps, preventative vetting, so that in theory it could be merged with her current kitty. And then I was like, we need to get this cat to the vet. And so wonderful Paws and Claws, who we use all the time, was able to see her the next day. And so the kitty got into the vet the next day and they discovered that she had a lot going on. So they noted, the anemia from the fleas. They opened her mouth and she does have dental disease, which is very common in older cats. And then they ran some blood work. They also found she has kidney disease. But then the other thing they found was I had felt a little something on her side and I wasn't sure what it was. But then they figured out it's actually an abdominal hernia. So if you don't know what a hernia is, basically in cats, there's like a muscle wall beneath the skin and beneath some of the tissue. And so if there's a hole that's created in that muscle wall, then organs can move out of place. The muscle wall kind of keeps in a way, it connects to fascia, which then connects to your organs. And so if that is disrupted, your cat's organs can just kind of move around in places it's not supposed to be, which can then inadvertently cause problems. And this, they thought was the result of either she was attacked by something or she was hit by a car. And unfortunately, given how old she is, which they couldn't tell her date of birth. They just know like this is a very old cat. They don't think she's going to be a very good candidate for surgery to either, repair the hernia or deal with the dental disease. And so we're just kind of doing comfort care. So we have provided her, this person, with kidney food. So cats with kidney disease need a very specific diet. They need a kidney diet or KD, so that, it helps with their kidney disease. And I'm not an expert on, kidney disease. There's a few of us on the call who have dealt extensively in cats with kidney disease, and the food is really important at, prolonging the cat's life because there's kidney disease comes in different stages, and sometimes, the intervention of the diet can delay the time that they go from one stage to the next because the further they progress through the stages, the closer their kidneys come to failing essentially. So we have been providing her with kidney food, which is a prescription diet. And she is just she's basically hospice fostering this cat now with us. And so, the kitty is going to get to be with her as long as it's going to be around. She monitors quality of life. She brings it to our vet periodically to kind of assess and check on quality of life. But the important thing is she's really happy. She loves to sleep in the girl's bed. She gets along with the other cat now that she's fully dewormed and, tested negative for feline FIV and FELV. So she's able to integrate them and they get along really good. And she's really just, letting this cat live out its golden time, however long that might be. It could be a couple of months, could be a couple of years. We also don't know how long she's had that abdominal hernia for. And they're like, we could surgically repair it, and that would be the ideal thing to do. But with, her body and how old she is, it's probably best to just, leave it alone and make her happy and comfortable. And I'm really glad that we were able to do this for this cat because clearly she just was not thriving outside and just had multiple problems going on. So
I'm glad we could help her too.
yeah, she's so sweet. Her name's Magnolia. She's the cat. We joke like she's the cat that's had four different names because she came in, and one thing about like if everyone knows you make an appointment for a cat at the vet, you have to tell the people, the vet office, what is this cat's name? And so she had to come up with something on the fly. So her name was Sweet Girl for a little bit because she was so sweet. And then it switched to something else. And then, they finally landed on, Magnolia because they felt it suited her. So she's a very happy girl. And she's just gonna continue to be in her hospice home. Kidney disease, like they can go for a long time. It's kind of unpredictable in some ways. And it's unknown how long she's had kidney disease. And I think if I remember right, she's just in like stage 2, which any of the kidney experts on here, are there 4 stages? Is it 3, 4?
I believe there's 4. I know Giselle knows quite a bit too. I have a cat who had it. She was stage 3 for about 3 years with the KD food. So I'm a big advocate for stick to the diet. It's expensive, but it's worth it. And I just now have a 16-year-old cat who got diagnosed at stage 3. So we're going to see how long we can go with that KD. But yeah, go ahead, Giselle. I know you know more than I do, I think.
No, I was just gonna say basically the same thing as you, but 3 years at stage 3 is awesome, Lindsay. And to your point, yeah, the kidney food is definitely very expensive, even with our rescue hookup. So our Advocat sure do come in handy with that. It's no joke how much they charge for the prescription diets, but like you said, it prolongs their life and keeps them comfortable. So in my opinion, totally worth it, every penny.
I agree. I thought Toothless was declining my old man, and I thought it could be something more than just kidney disease because of how quickly he just seemed to decline. And just being on his new prescription diet, he's bounced back so quickly just because he's getting the right stuff he needs for his body. So
That's
sometimes,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. Kidney disease can be tricky because there's so many kidneys are so important. Like you don't like I personally was like, oh, kidneys can't be that important, right? It's not like, your stomach or your liver or something like that, but they actually do a lot. And so when cats go into kidney disease, they have all these symptoms like they, constantly are drinking water, but they can't hydrate themselves properly, so they get dehydrated, or they can develop neurological things. Like it's crazy how important kidneys are. And there's no cure for kidney disease. It's more so you just manage the symptoms, try to keep their kidneys stable, try to prevent further decline for as long as you can, and then just kind of play by ear. But some cats with kidney, when they get to the later stages, there may be a point where we need to teach this person how to do like subcutaneous fluids, which is a common, it's not really a treatment. I wouldn't call it a treatment because you can't treat kidney disease, but it's a common tool used to help with, the dehydration that comes with kidney disease. So at some point we may have to teach her how to do that and then deal with, supplying subcutaneous fluids, which are also, not free. They're not terribly expensive, but you know, it's an additional expense. But you know, Sweet Kitty, she's worth it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and
so go
hopefully
ahead.
yeah, I was just gonna say hopefully, I mean, her name was Sweet Kitty, so I'm sure she'll tolerate it, but I know in a lot of cases that's not the situation. Like my first senior Faustus sea bass, even getting a pill in his mouth was indicative of or leading to blood being drawn on your hand. He had kidney disease, so fluids would not have been in the question. But I have heard and seen some research on an injection that's being tested and trying to get approved for curing kidney disease. It's a doctor or researcher, I believe out of I'm sorry, I don't remember where, but I don't remember where. I'm not going to misspeak on it. Not in the United States, but he came up with a kidney prevention supplement, but has also been doing research on an injection. So I doubt it's anywhere in the near future, but definitely something exciting for us older cat lovers to look forward to.
Yes, absolutely. I don't know if you guys have heard about that, like research and that it's going to be some kind of injectable medication that prolongs a cat's lifespan. I was like, when that comes out, I will be buying it. I'm like, I have one cat now that's my oldest cat is like 10 or 11. We don't really know her age. But I was like, once that comes out, I'm buying it because she is going to live to be 30 you know, if it works. So I keep seeing stories about that.
That's the goal. That would be awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy expensive when it comes out because everyone is going to want it. And in general, whenever new drugs come out, they're always like insanely expensive. But it's worth it, you know, to have your kitty for an extra, you know, 10 to 15 years. So,
Yeah, I was gonna say with the fluids, I actually used to work as a vet tech as well as with the rescue. I was actually a vet tech for the rescue a while back. But yeah, if your cat is kind enough, or if you have someone at home and you're able to get the vet to teach you how to do fluids at home, it can save you a lot of money because I've worked on the managerial side of vet offices too, and they do charge quite a bit just for you to have a tech appointment to have someone put that needle in to give fluids. And if your cat's able to let you do it at home, you could save quite a bit of money and just hopefully get some fluids or from Falk too if you're the foster.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, subcutaneous fluids is just a good skill to know. Even, you know, we use it all the time for kittens as well. Kittens that come in dehydrated or they're fighting something else like upper respiratory and they don't want to eat, so they get dehydrated. And so we have to do, you know, subcutaneous fluid therapy as kind of a prevention from things getting worse. Because if things get worse, then they might need IV fluids, which is something you have to do they have to be hospitalized for that and get, you know, an IV catheter and have fluids slowly drip. So we try to avoid that. And so we do subcutaneous fluids a lot around here, both for the old kitties and for the tiny kitties too. Something else with the tiny kitties, I just want to talk about something fun. These are some photos from, I posted, maybe it was yesterday, I think it was yesterday. I posted like a little video of behind the scenes of this photo shoot. So these are some kittens that Michelle is fostering currently. And I saw this post on Instagram of like rescue kittens in these tiny crochet animal hats. And I was like, we need to do this. We have to figure out how to do this. And so one of our cafe employees knows someone who just crochets and she was willing to make these hats for us and she made them so fast. She made a mouse, a bunny, a frog. There's also a bear, which I haven't picked up yet. And so we put the kittens in the tiny hats and took their pictures, and it was like the highlight of my whole day yesterday.
I can't see it on my screen for some reason.
Weird. It says I'm screen sharing.
It's probably my computer. Okay, other people can see. Okay, good. Other people can see it. That's what matters. I mess with
Yay.
my settings a lot to avoid this Zoom action you guys might be catching. Don't know what's going on. It's just happening. But yes,
Technology is
those are the
always.
cutest things ever. Oh my gosh, you should sell those hats.
I know she wants to do commission and we'll probably take her up on it, at least at like the bookstore or something like that. I would 100% buy one of these hats for my cats and I would make them wear it. Um, what she did is she put like little strings dangling from either side. And so very carefully we tied the string kind of just underneath their mouth and then kind of behind their head a little bit. It's not tight or anything because I'm kittens and strings is really scary. Just generally, because kittens can ingest string and then it becomes a whole problem and an emergency vet visit, especially if they get obstructed in some way. But the pictures turned out so cute. And we're definitely going to use these for various promotions for the rescue or, other stuff. So what's coming up? What's next? One thing we're working on is we have our 2025 end of year report is complete. It's kind of like a big, if you ever look on the Falck website, you can see all of our end of year reports. And as a nonprofit, we are required, to make these every year. And we also enjoy making them to kind of write about, what we did and what's going on, what we accomplished. And so this year we kind of want to do something fun and different. So we're working on, making some videos talking through the end of year report, which are going to be posted on the Instagram page just for you guys. We'll probably roll them out one at a time. All of our, directors are going to be involved. Basically, each of our rescues, our rescue has committees. And so each committee is kind of run by at least one, director. So directors are going to, talk through their committee, talk through the end of year report and kind of give you some like cool insights into what's going on and, what was accomplished. We also finally have made headway with the donor shirts. We have a really cool design. So if you are a donor for $25 or more, you qualify for a shirt. The shirts are also personalized a little bit. So Michelle has been hard at work on that. She just figured out, the most effective way to make them, and she's in the process of making them. So we will be making them and then shipping them to you. We have everybody's address. So I'll do a post too on the page when they're being, shipped out, just so you can kind of anticipate expecting them to arrive. The other thing I wanted to mention is Michelle is teaming up with Commissioner Jack Porter. They're doing this kind of like Girls to the Rescue summer camp. So it's a summer camp that's being operated by a facility. And they want to hear about cat rescue, and it's all women. And so this, group of women and girls are going to various places in Tallahassee, like they're going to go, to the firehouse, they're going to go to a hospital, they're going to, also, come to us. And so basically, empowering young ladies. I think the oldest one, it's like 15 and under or something like that is the ages. And there's a little over 20 of them. So I'm going to be hosting that. There'll be more to come. Michelle's definitely going to document it. The other thing going on is we had this whole talk about, helping locally, but one thing we committed to about maybe 2 months ago was helping some cats in Dominica, which is an island. And we were contacted by the only nonprofit animal rescue on this island, and they have coordinated a transport of about 50 dogs and 50 cats off of the island into the United States. So the reason why they're doing that, they actually can't adopt out animals locally because of cultural practices that sometimes involve consuming animals. So because of that, they are reaching out to other shelters and rescues to get the animals out, bring them to places where it's safe to adopt them out. So it's like, 50 dogs, 50 cats. For the cat component, we're teaming up with, I think, 4 or 5 other rescues in Florida. And so next month, I'm going down to Fort Lauderdale where they're flying into, and I'm going to pick up our kitties from Dominica. I'm very excited about it. We're going to have, kitties from the island. We're able to, step in and help. One of the cats, I'm in love with her. Her name is Hillary. She's about 4 years old, they think. And these cats are also fully vetted, which is great. The rescue down there got them, spayed and neutered, tested, vaccinated, dewormed, microchipped. Basically, they're fully vetted. They just need to be adopted out. So, but one of the cats, her name's Hillary, and she doesn't have any ears. And I have never seen a cat that doesn't have ears before.
I can't
Um,
wait to see her. Oh my gosh.
I know she's this black and white cat. I should have put a picture of her on here. I have a
Uh,
picture. Um, but yeah, she doesn't have ears, and unfortunately, she was brought there, and her ears were just injured and kind of uh,
Ear
they were
hematomas and stuff.
they they were injured in such a way that doesn't seem like it was nature that did that. So, unfortunately, that area, they're just, different, and the way they treat animals may not be very kind. And so, unfortunately, they do think she was kind of a victim of some kind of cruelty in some way. But they had to fully amputate her ears. They weren't salvageable.
Baby.
Yeah, she had an ear amputation a few years ago, so she's totally healed up from it. She's fine. It's more of a cosmetic thing, but it's when they first sent us pictures of the cats and we were, trying to pick which cats to take, I emailed them back and I asked them, I'm like, does this cat, are her ears just pressed back for the picture? Or like, because it looks like she doesn't have ears. And that's when they, filled me in and explained what the deal was. I was like, well, we're getting that cat.
Yeah, we'll take that one.
Yeah, she's also FIV positive, which is fine, no big deal. But yeah, she's gonna move. She's more than likely gonna end up at our bookstore just because she is, 4 years old. She's the oldest cat of the group that we're taking. So she may end up at our bookstore. And yeah, she's all the cats there look so sweet. I mean, they were awesome. They sent pictures. They sent videos of them. So we got a video of every single cat, of, people petting on the cats and loving the cats, just because, like, we want to make sure they're friendly. So yeah. And then of course, we also have a kitten shower coming up, which is exciting. You guys get to hear about first. We're going to be doing like a cool like online fundraiser. So that is up and coming too.
Yeah, with kitten season, it's always good to get extra donations, anything we can do to help with the influx of kitties. So that'll be fun. I think June 1st that will start.
Yes, it's exciting. You guys, we'll be advertising it too on our main pages, but you guys hear about it first. We'll give you some inside, scoop, insider information. And last thing I wanted to end with, all these pictures on the screen, I asked everybody to send me a picture of their cats being weird. So everybody has submitted photos of just their cats being odd. This one on the bottom left is one of my babies. I was holding her earlier in the video, and she literally just sleeps like this. Like her tail's off to one side. She's hanging off the cat tree. And then the next one is her name is T. She's one of Michelle's cats. She does have neurological stuff. She had like an MRI done, and she has neurological stuff going on. But one of her weird quirks is that she will literally just sit like a squirrel like that for however long. And she just chills like that. So that's funny. And I can pass it over to the other people to talk about their kitties or their kitty photos they submitted.
I think Guppy's my favorite.
Oh my God. Guppy, that big old Siamese in the middle right there. She has zero brain cells. She's from a hoarder house, so I blame her zero brain cells on that. They probably got fried from all the cat urine she was sleeping in. But there's her sticking her seal tail out. And then while I'm here, I'll also, the top right corner is my cutie, not to be confused with the cat with no ears. He just looks like he has no ears
It does.
because
That's
he's
so funny.
he's doing a big old yawn with his one snaggle tooth because he barely
Oh,
has or barely had any teeth.
that is
Uh,
such a good picture.
so silly. So silly. That's the biggest yawn ever, like a lion.
Well, I think then the other kitty that was sticking her head out of the a little cat tree that we have, and right down below on the bottom right, that's Perminator, and she was our best companion for about 15 years, and did develop kidney disease. She lasted for about 3 years on the KD diet and everything, but then she developed cancer, and we lost her in February. But I have great memories of her being just a fun cat, a loving companion, and sometimes a very silly girl, which you can see in that photo. I think she was yawning or stretching or something, but she was obviously very comfortable.
The
No.
most pretty calico floof ever.
Yeah, she really was a good floofy girl.
That's the perfect snuggle belly.
Yes, it is. But I dare not touch that.
Yeah, right.
Oh, not fair. She's inviting you. That's not fair.
Oh,
Look
goodness.
at these kitties. Come here. Look at these funny kitties. Giselle put the earless cat in the chat.
Oh, good. Okay.
Look at these funny kitties.
You get to see sweet Hillary and her no ears.
So any human name for a cat is always, we love that.
Yes. Yes. All the cats there already had names, so we are getting, the names that they came with. A lot of them are human names, so we'll be prepared for that. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing because that's all I have. All right. So it is 8:02. So we actually did go for the full hour. I wasn't sure. So I think we'll wrap it up here. We really appreciate everybody who joined. And even if you didn't join and you're just gonna, catch up with us later or watch the video later, please know we appreciate you. All this stuff we do is it's not possible without our donors, without donations. It keeps us able to do this work that we love doing so much. So we really appreciate you guys, and we hope you have a good rest of your night.
Thank you guys. Nice hanging out.
Yes.
Thank you
Bye.
so much, everybody. Beautiful.
Bye.